Hi, I'm Beth with TB Properties Buys Land. We get a lot of questions from land sellers about scam offer letters and how to protect yourself from real estate investors if they're trying to take advantage of you or not. And this brings up an example that I wanted to share with you. There was a gentleman whose property that we purchased here in Texas, and he had received an offer letter. He had worked with the investor. They'd come to an agreement on a price, and he signed a purchase agreement. And nothing had happened. And he got a letter from us, and he contacted us and said, "Hey, I want to sell my land, but I've already signed an agreement with somebody else, but nothing's happening. I don't know what's going on." Okay, and so we came to find out that he had signed an agreement, not really to sell his land, but to kind of have it tied up in an agreement until the real estate investor was able to sell his property for him. So the investor never intended to buy the gentleman's property from him and pay him in a reasonable period of time. He was just going to market the property, and then he would buy the property and resell it at the same time. So what's the difference there? Well, if you make an agreement to buy a property within a month, you as the seller, you have cash in hand. If you're making an agreement to have the investor market your property, it could be 2, 3, 4, 6 months, a year before that property gets sold. And you've got it tied up and you don't have other options in which to get rid of your property. Okay, so we were able to work with the gentleman and get him out of that agreement. And then we went and purchased his property outright with cash through a title company. And he got paid, within about 4 or 5 weeks. He had some title issues that we had to clear up, but he was able to take care of that and get paid quickly. Whereas the previous agreement, he was in limbo for a series of months. So I can't say what can we recommend to you, but what would be some things that you can look at and protect yourself with? Number one, if you get an agreement that you're going to sign a purchase agreement to sell your land, look at that agreement, read it and understand it. Is there a firm closing date on that agreement? Are you allowing the investor to market your property in the meantime before the sale takes place? Okay, so while title's working on the paperwork and the closing documents, are they allowed to market your property and try to sell it in the meantime? Now, is that necessarily a bad thing? It may not be a bad thing. It may be great for the investor and it doesn't affect you at all. But if it holds up the sale of your land, that just means there's going to be a longer period of time before you get paid. And what happens if they, find a buyer and it falls through? It's taking longer. So ask the buyer of your land, is this a firm date? Are you intending to pay for my property before you market, sell it, subdivide it, whatever you're going to do with the property? Are you going to buy it in a reasonable period of time? Make sure that whatever you understand the agreement to be, that it says that in paper, okay? And that's one way that you can protect yourself when you're working with a real estate investor. Here at TB Properties Buys Land, we purchase real estate all over the country. We buy 10 plus acres of vacant land, and we pay with cash that we can close faster. We're not relying on a credit or a mortgage lender in order to buy your property. We close through title companies. That way there's safety on both sides of the transaction for you and for us. And we buy your property, we buy it in a reasonable period of time. It tends to be about 4 to 5 weeks, depending on the title company. But we pay you in cash, we pay you quickly through title for safety, and then you're done. You can move on. There's none of this waiting on what the market's going to do. But I hope that makes sense. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We look forward to working with you. Thanks again.